Hello everyone, welcome back to ATBP Gaming again. Today I want to talk about something small but meaningful to me. Uh, it is about dirty ice cream. Now, for those who do not know, I think all of you do not know this because this is only exclusive in my country. Dirty ice cream is just a street ice cream sold on the neighborhoods, like in my country. Despite its name, it is not necessarily dirty. I think the name comes from the fact that it is sold outdoors, in small push carts or trays, not in the air-conditioned stores or fancy groceries. It has been around for, I think, decades now, and for many of us, for people like me, it carries memories, you know, the nostalgia and comfort. And dirty ice cream is very simple. It comes in flavors like the usual chocolate, cheese, of course, ube. If you do not know ube is, it's you can just Google it. It's like a root crop, and sometimes seasonal flavors depending on the vendor. You know, the ice cream is usually scooped from small trays, or containers in a push cart. Vendors can even make an ice cream sandwich for you, but it is not the ice cream sandwich that you know. It is literally just a scoop of ice cream placed on a cheap bread, very cheap bread. Nothing fancy, you know, but it is enough to make someone happy. And that is the charm of dirty ice cream, simplicity and warmth in small package, I think. For me, dirty ice cream is not just a snack. Just to, you know, let you know, dirty ice cream is 5 times cheaper than buying, the usual ice cream that you can buy from the mall, which matters a lot when money is tight. For someone like me, I cannot afford expensive treats. So dirty ice cream is a small joy that does not hurt the budget, but gives me a moment of comfort. You know, even when life is exhausting, responsibilities pile up, and every day feels heavy. So dirty ice cream allows me a pause in life. Just a scoop, a few pennies, and for a few minutes, I can forget my worries. I remember walking to school running errands in my neighborhood as a child. I could hear the vendors calling out their flavors, their voices carrying across the street. The colorful carts would be parked near small stores, street corners, or even playgrounds. Kids would gather around, watching as the ice cream was scooped and handed out in small cups or bread sandwiches. The sound, that sight is part of what dirty ice cream symbolizes. The old days, in my childhood, and a simple life, a small treat, a small celebration, little escape from reality. Even now, as an adult, when I see a dirty ice cream vendor, it brings back that feeling. You know, the smell of the ice cream, the sound of the bell on the car, even the sight of children crowding around, it transports me back in time. Just a few pennies, a small scoop, and suddenly it feels lighter. You know, Fatigue, stress, and responsibility fade for a moment. That is the power of dirty ice cream for me, I think. Some people might wonder why it is called dirty ice cream. I think I already explained that it is not unhygienic, just to let you know. Okay, I think the name makes it more authentic. It is not about branding, packaging, or luxury. It is about, connection to the community, you know, accessibility for everyone, keeping happiness simple. That that bread the vendors use might seem unusual to people from outside of my country, but it is delicious in its simplicity. It is filling, affordable, and stretches the treat. One scoop of ice cream on a piece of bread can feed a child, you know, satisfy a craving, and make a small amount of money worth more. And I think it is also a sign of ingenuity and adaptation. Vendors making treats that everyone can enjoy. Dirty ice cream also carries cultural and I think historical weight for my country. For many people, it symbolizes simpler times, childhood memories, and the life in the community. Even as the world modernizes, malls open and package ice cream becomes more common. This dirty ice cream persists. It reminds us of the old streets, old friends, old games. For me, it is nostalgia that I can taste, smell, and hold in my hands. Western viewers might understand this as a favorite childhood snack, a small bakery treat or a popsicle from a neighborhood cart. The exact form may differ, but the feeling is universal. A cheap, simple, simple snack that brightens the day. You know, Dirty ice cream is more than just sugar or milk. I think it is a comfort, you know, it is a pause, and I think it is also a bridge to my past. Even now, life can feel heavy, work, bills, responsibilities. Sometimes I feel tired, exhausted, but a small scoop of ice cream, you know, gives me a chance to pause. And for that moment, I do not think about, deadlines, money, or stress. I just enjoy the taste and texture of this treat. Happiness can come in small and inexpensive ways like this. And I think about the vendors too, how they walk long streets, carrying heavy carts, scooping ice cream under the heavy sun because temperature here is very hot, calling out their flavors. They work hard, but and they give joy to the community. Their work is not glamorous, but it matters for people like me. It reminds me that efforts, small efforts can make life sweeter for someone else, even just for a few minutes. Dirty ice cream is more than a childhood memory, I think. It is a symbol of hope. Even when life is tiring and difficult, there are moments of sweetness waiting. It is a lesson that comfort does not need to be expensive or complicated. You know, Small and simple things like this. Sometimes they are enough to make, your life a little lighter. And sometimes I sit and watch kids buying this dirty ice cream, laughing and running away with sticky hands and bright eyes. I feel the same enjoy, I felt as a child. You know, that joy, small at it is, reminds me that life does not have to be all responsibility and stress. There are moments like this, waiting on the street corners and make everything worth it. So the next time you see uh, this kind of ice cream, or the usual ice cream that you eat, think about what they offer. Not just a treat, but a small moment of joy, a memory, a little sweetness in life. Ice cream is cheap, you know but it is enough to make your life feel lighter, even for a few minutes. And for me, it is comfort and a brief escape from fatigue and stress. And that, I think, is something everyone can understand, no matter where you are in the world. So that's it. Thank you for watching. I will find a dirty ice cream after this. If you have your thoughts, stories, or opinions, comment down below. I will read it. And of course, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.